guys, welcome back to my channel. So super excited because I'm working with my Beatrix Potter kit. I've called it Busy Beatrix, which when I last kind of did a video I hadn't kind of quite thought of a name. Busy Beatrix just because obviously it's quite a busy kit, and obviously Beatrix must have been busy creating all of those images. So I wasn't intending on doing kind of a process video for it really. I was going to just kind of work on it, you know, alone, and then obviously kind of showcase it once it was finished. But I had lots of people being really kind, saying they couldn't wait to see kind of, you know, how I decorated the journal and kind of how I used my process. So I had already started working on it, but I obviously ground that to a halt so that I could then come and do some process videos, or a process video, you know, we'll see how we get on with you guys. So these are all my little bits and bobs, you know, cut out, and I'll show you kind of what I've done so far, you know, with the journal. So let me just check that I'm in frame. Okay, so obviously in the last video I bound the journal together, and that's kind of as far as we got. So that was a kind of tutorial. So now what I've been doing is obviously kind of getting on with decorating some of the pages. So what I've done is I've kind of laid out things roughly where I think I might like them. Obviously, you know, I may change my mind yet, but I've just kind of tentatively put them down kind of where I think I might like things. And some of the pages I have actually kind of already glued things down. So this page, for instance, I have obviously glued this, which was some of the background paper, just torn off to make a corner pocket, and popped it there. And then I just fussy cut out one of the flowers and popped that beside here, Peter Rabbit. And then fussy cut some more flowers at the top, pop them on, and fussy cut one of the butterflies and just pop that there. This was one of the elements from the kit, and I've obviously just literally popped it on to some coffee dyed fabric, and then I've stitched it round on the sewing machine to create a kind of belly band. Popped a couple of doilies behind, and obviously popped on, or popped in a little kind of journaling card there. So that's that page. That page I haven't done yet. This page I had great fun with, so I just need to distress ink a couple of the journaling cards, but I used a little bit of the Pitman bookkeeping book that I bought recently. So I just tore that up and popped that on, fussy cut some of the flowers, popped on one of the elements there, and that's obviously a tuck spot up here, so that's a journaling card, obviously can pop up there. And then just sewed a little ruffle down there and popped that on at the bottom. This page obviously I haven't done yet, but I have got started kind of with a couple of elements, so that I've got to come back to. This page obviously I cracked on a bit with this page, so I took one of the journaling cards, cut it out, distress inked, stitched it on again to some of this kind of cheesecloth type fabric, and then just glued it down in two corners as a kind of tuck there in the corner. Another piece of that bookkeeping Pitman book, some lace trim up here, and a couple of flowers there. Then obviously we've got our kind of plain pages for journaling, got the sheet music, the greaseproof paper. On here on the airmail envelope, I just thought it was really nice to pop this fussy cut, you know, teacup with, I've forgotten her name now, that's just escaped me. Anyway, and a couple of the flowers, which I just fussy cut and also stuck them on, so kind of layered them up. And then in the envelope, I've just literally popped a little journaling card like that. And then here I've just kind of roughly laid out a couple of things. That's the centre page. I don't really want to cover this page up, so I'm going to just kind of paperclip a journaling card or two onto that page, because I just absolutely love the collage. And thank you so much to those people who said they also liked it, because I was very excited by it. So that's that. Here I've just kind of again laid out things roughly where I might like them. Then we've got our plain pages. Here again just laid something out. Here again. This page I have again taken some of the background paper and I've just torn it across, distress inked it, popped it down as a corner tuck spot, and then I cut out another element from the kit and just kind of tucked her, or stuck her as a tuck spot. So here I've got a kind of journaling card and that can tuck up there and also behind her like that. So I quite like kind of doing the double tucks. Just fussy cut a flower there and popped it onto the plain page, one of the banners, again same thing, and obviously that you know, could act as a tuck spot for another card, so we may pop a card on there later. Another element ready to glue down, other elements here ready to kind of glue down, elements here. I mean, obviously, you know, I might change my mind yet, but this is kind of the plan roughly speaking at the moment, and another couple of elements here. So what I thought we could do is start by covering the inside covers. So what I did was literally just get from my pile of things outside, printed off a couple of the background papers. I totally forgot to do the borderless setting on the printer, but it doesn't matter because we're going to put them portrait anyway, so that we cover the envelope. So I'm going to start by cutting down one of the sides here, so it's kind of straight. Well, so it's borderless anyway. So I'll just take that off there, and then we'll cut this along the top. Like that. And then I thought we could just obviously kind of glue that down here like that. And then that's kind of done then, you know, I'm ready to kind of go. I did also do a peach coloured piece, and actually have got a couple of other backgrounds, so I will just double check that we want them kind of like that, because we could also have, or not also, sorry, could always have kind of matching, which might be better. Let me move these out of the way so they don't keep flopping down. That might be better. Yeah, perhaps I'll kind of go for that instead. So what I'll probably do is do it that way round. So what I'm going to do is literally use Mod Podge. Oops, just knocked the lamp. Use Mod Podge for the back cover. I'll just kind of pop some down like that. And then just spread it out, you know, quite generously, kind of all the way around. Going obviously right to the edges because I want it to be nicely adhered down. Don't want it kind of peeling up at all. I mean, obviously if it does kind of, you know, whilst it's still with me, then I would obviously kind of just, you know, take some of my wet glue and kind of glue down the edges, but hopefully we can kind of give it a generous enough covering that it won't really need that anyway. So like that. Okay. Just pop my brush out of the way, and then I'll just take that and just pop it down like that. And I just literally like to just press it out, take my card, make sure it's kind of really butted up against the spine there. And actually this one, as you can see, was actually a double-sided piece, so it's a bit wasteful and extravagant doing this, but I hadn't quite obviously decided which colour I was going to have, and it was only then when I kind of put it there that actually I thought, no, I'm going to go with the blue. So we'll just pop it down like that. Okay. So I'm just going to literally get some tissue, clean around the board, you know, not because I'm fussy about my board obviously, but just so that it doesn't start getting on anything else I'm working on before it's dried up. So, right. The reason I've opened it is just in case there was any kind of wet down here. I didn't want it sticking against the other page. So, okay. So we'll cut that off in a moment after it's kind of had a few minutes to dry. So in the meantime, what we can do is get working on another element. So let's take this one here, which is rather nice. So as you can see, it's one of the Patricia Viramonte's book page pockets. I'm just going to trim it down slightly at the edges, just because otherwise it seemed to look a bit wide. Like that, and it's obviously been stitched on the sewing machine. Just going to cut those threads just because that one's kind of looped up. Okay. And then we'll just kind of play around with kind of seeing how we want this page to look. I mean, I was kind of thinking we would have this as a journaling card on here rather than a kind of tuck spot or anything on the page. So if I just go back to some of the elements from the kit that I have already cut out, I'll just bring them back into view. I'm having great fun with all of these kits, having so many bits and bobs ready to play with. So the problem is I've obviously kind of been creating so many that I've now got multiple journals on the go, which I'm not generally somebody who normally works on kind of multiple things at once. I know that lots of people do, and I often hear people say, oh, I'm working on kind of 3 or 4 journals and things like that. I generally don't. So personally, you know, this is kind of a bit of a new thing for me, you know, working on quite a few. And I can't lie, I am finding it slightly confusing and also slightly, what would the word be? Kind of frustrating, because you get into kind of working on one and then kind of, you know, go back to the other, and you've kind of lost all track of where you were with that. So I'm not sure that this is necessarily a good tactic for me, but having said that, because I've got loads of different ideas going on in my mind at the moment, I can't resist but jump from one thing to another to another to another. So yes, it's kind of my own fault, but maybe I will maybe I'll get used to it and then get the hang of it. I'm not sure. So I'm just grabbing a few things that when I've actually looked closely kind of at the picture here, it's got a few of these little elements. It's got her on there. It's obviously got the image here. So I just thought I'd grab a few things that were kind of matching that journaling card, really. Well, actually, I've just spotted it's also got a hymn down there. So let's just have a look and see how we'd like to kind of decorate all of this up. So we'll just check that that's not kind of gluing onto my page. So I don't think really inked much of this stuff up yet. So I will pop that all to one side and then kind of lay it out and decide how to have things, and then kind of glue them and ink them once we've decided. So obviously we're going to have that as a journaling card. We could have it kind of behind actually, and then use something else as another journaling card. We could have that banner actually, which is rather nice. Just thinking if I trimmed it at the top, we could probably fit the banner on behind the pocket, which would be kind of cool. And then here we could have kind of today's highlights maybe here, and maybe some flowers going across on there. So we could even have her somewhere. Okay, so what I might do, because I'm trying to kind of not dilly-dally too much, because sometimes I'm aware I do that and it, you know, It frustrates me, so it must frustrate you. So I'm going to just take this one, pop this down. Now for some reason my glue is coming out really thick and fast, so I'm just going to kind of dab a bit off here on my tissue, because otherwise it's going to be kind of running all over, you know, seeping out the edges all over, I meant. I was thinking about it and I thought, I think I prefer doing the process videos to tutorials, because they somehow seem a bit friendlier. And I think I've said this kind of before, but it's quite nice to be able to kind of sit and chat. And when you're doing the tutorial, you're kind of busy showing what you're doing and explaining and describing what you're doing. So there doesn't seem so much room for just chatting, you know, which kind of seems a little bit, or feels a little bit impersonal to me. Now, again, I'm just going to use this paper, my son's paper, just to use to ink up against. Yes, it just somehow feels a little bit impersonal, kind of doing the flip throughs and the tutorials. So somehow for me, the process videos, they seem a bit friendlier and kind of nice, because we can all kind of relax, grab a cup of tea, hopefully kind of, you know, you guys can kind of grab your stash. I love hearing it when you kind of say that you've been crafting along while I've been doing this. And I mean, obviously, you know, you could always kind of obviously grab the same kit, you know, from my Etsy, and then we'd be crafting along together, and you could also be making the same journal, which I always just think sounds super fun. I know that I've heard other people kind of do that in their process videos, which I think is always just really fun. Whoops. So, you know, I always, yeah, like the sound of that. But I mean, you know, regardless, kind of whatever crafting is really fun to think that people are actually kind of doing their own crafting at the same time. And it's just nice to be able to kind of be chatting, whereas kind of on tutorials you're kind of busy showing and describing and things, so there doesn't seem that sort of room, you know, for actual just chatting away, which always just seems a bit of a shame. Just inking up the back of this, because obviously it's going to be a journaling card, so I just want to make sure that the back looks, you know, inked up and aged as well. So there we go. Right. So if I bring that back, the other thing that I haven't done yet is actually ink around the page, so I might just quickly do that a bit. I'm not going to go too mad, I'm just going to kind of literally, oops, that came out very dark. I think I said last time that I've got a kind of new ink pad and it's very juicy, so even though I had dabbed that off, it still did come out very dark, so it doesn't really matter too much, but just, I guess, something to be aware of sometimes. So I hope everyone had a nice weekend. It's Monday for me. Again, I always say this, but you know, kind of depending on how much success I have in uploading the video, because sometimes you have technical difficulties, let's just say, and it's not always possible to upload the video kind of on the day that I've done it, you know, either because I don't have time, or sometimes you think it's uploading and then you go back to it an hour or two later only to find it's, you know, stopped uploading for whatever reason. So all being well, this will, you know, I will update or upload this today, but if I don't, then you know, that's why I'm waffling on about the weekend still, because obviously to me the weekend seems very close, you know, not long gone. So that looks kind of sweet. So I'm just going to take these flowers and just then glue them on. I won't bother dabbing this because I haven't actually gone that close to the edges on those flowers, so we'll just kind of pop them on like that. yes, we had a nice weekend. It was nice weather, which, you know, obviously we're now coming to autumn, so it's not necessarily a given that the weather's going to be nice, but it was very nice. It was quite warm, it was dry, it was bright. We did a lovely walk on Saturday and it was just perfect, absolutely perfect walking weather. So that was just, oh, absolutely lovely. Had a really, really lovely time. We went up to a kind of, you know, local kind of beauty spot for a walk. And when you get to the top, you often kind of, even on a hot day, have to kind of retreat because it's quite blowy and actually quite chilly, even when the weather's quite nice. But for some reason, Saturday, it was absolutely perfect. And we managed to stay up there with our picnic for quite a long time, about an hour or more, having a picnic, and the, you know, kids were kind of having a nice time. I read a bit of my Kindle, so that was kind of nice. It was, oh, it was just perfect. So that just felt like a bit of a treat, really. And then yesterday, I took my oldest son shopping, just me and him. Don't very often do that. In fact, I've only ever really done that once before. Kind of gone out, just me and one of them. I've done it with all of them, but only kind of once or twice each, if you see what I mean. But he wanted to go and buy some new clothes with some of his Saturday job money. So I took him out and we had a nice day kind of doing that. He's very lucky because he's, well, I mean, he's working hard, so I say he's very lucky. He is working, you know, but he's being given kind of quite a lot of regular hours. So he normally does kind of a 12-hour shift actually on a Saturday. And he works in a busy cafe locally. So he's kind of getting, you know, for a 15-year-old, he's getting pretty good money, you know, because they don't have to pay for anything, do they? So, yeah, he was, you know, obviously excited to go and kind of spend some of his money, because he'd done a lot of shifts when we first got back from our holiday and the summer holidays still, so he hasn't had a chance to go shopping at all, so he still had quite a bit of money, you know, from them. So obviously I, you know, topped it off and gave him some money as well, or contributed, but he's obviously getting to that age now where he likes to buy kind of designer things, so he spent quite a bit, but actually, you know, only actually got four items, because obviously he was buying quite nice branded things. And you know, we went to kind of an outlet village, so things were cheaper than they would be, but he made me laugh because he bought a top from Armani, and I said, wow, I've never had an Armani bag in my whole life. So I was hoping he was going to give me his carrier bag when we got home, but he said, oh yeah, I'll be keeping the bag. So I thought maybe that you were going to give it to me. He offered me the Levi one. I said I wasn't so fussed about that. But yeah, I don't know whether it's a boy thing, being kind of into designer things. He seemed to think maybe it was a boy thing because girls get kind of more choice, so they can shop in kind of cheaper shops. Whereas boys kind of, you know, to look cool, have to kind of have designery gear. I don't know whether that's true or whether that's just his perception. I'm not really sure, but anyway, he enjoyed himself, and that's the main thing, isn't it? You know, because it's nice to kind of have a reward, isn't it? Because then working seems worth it. So and to be fair, if you can't buy those extravagant things when you're their age, when can you? Because you can't once you're older, obviously, and you have kind of bills and what have you. So, you know, it's nice to see that he's enjoying his hard-earned money. So, right. Now, I'm just wondering whether I could have that as a side pocket instead. Because then I could actually have that kind of going up more under the banner. So I think I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to kind of glue it down. Now let's hope that I kind of leave enough room to be able to slot that card in, but if I don't, that card's got quite a big border, so I should be able to actually kind of trim some off if need be. So I'll just pop that like that. Yes, I'm having a lot of fun with all these kits. They're, you know, they're just so handy. I can definitely see the appeal, because it's really nice having so many different bits that you can just grab and everything kind of coordinates nicely. So let's see whether I've left enough room. Yay, I have. So that just slots in there in the side. I might just take it out while it's drying, because I don't want to obviously get glue on there, so I'll just pop it in there for the time being. So I like that page very much. Right, let's see how that back page is doing. So that's doing well. I'm not going to pick it up just yet to cut it off, because obviously I want to wait for this page now to dry. It's all a kind of process, isn't it? Kind of waiting for one thing after another to dry. So we'll work our way kind of backwards through the book a bit. Now on here, I've obviously kind of got a couple of different bits and bobs, which I wasn't quite sure which thing I wanted to use. So actually I think I did wonder about having that on there instead. So here I've created one of my little pockets, my flip out pockets, and it's obviously just in that same paper there, and I've just printed it back to back. So I'm going to ink this up, and we can either have this actually glued on, or we could actually paper clip it on, because it's quite nice to have the option to be able to actually take it off, isn't it? So I might just clip it on. And then I thought we could have this one here. Don't know whether it might look nice with the doily kind of coming out. Let's just cut the doily in half. So we could just have it like that, kind of as a tuck spot. And then you know, paper clip that one on there. Or in fact, we could have that there. Might be kind of nice. Because obviously I quite like the fact that then it would coordinate with the facing page. You know, I mean, I quite like the coordination kind of with the facing page. So maybe we'll do that, actually. So what I'll do is obviously ink this up. So again, I'll just grab this page back, kind of dab the ink off against. Oh, that came out very dark, even though I've dabbed it. I've been watching quite a lot of Linda Israel. I've been watching a lot of her channel for the last few days. I tend to watch YouTube when I'm doing my workouts in the morning. So I think I've said that before. Either that or I read my Kindle, but it depends whether I'm reading anything particularly good at the time. But I've been watching her for the last few days. And she's just made the most incredible Halloween journal. And the reason I say that is because on my giveaway, I'd asked for, you know, ideas that people would like to see kind of in a journal, or, you know, just suggestions really, kind of not necessarily that they would like me to create, because I mean, obviously you all, I'm sure, watch lots of people, you know, and lots of you have channels of your own. but just kind of other suggestions, I suppose, for journals. So I mean, Halloween certainly wouldn't be my go-to theme for a journal, but you know, kind of obviously because lots of people had kind of mentioned Halloween, I thought perhaps I would kind of try and do a Halloween one, because obviously, you know, lots of people had kind of suggested it. So I just kind of was watching, and just by fluke, Linda Israel has just done, she's actually done a few tutorials or kind of process videos for a Halloween journal, and then she's also done the kind of final flip through of the Halloween journal, which was what was it? It was a paper bag journal, and it was so lovely. It was very different in style to kind of other journals that I guess, you know, we kind of often see. And she'd kind of done a mixture of vintage with bright colours. So the bright kind of orange and purple and green and things for Halloween, but also with the vintage kind of feel to it, which I just think, I've lost my scissors now, which I think is incredibly hard to achieve, you know, to kind of incorporate both vintage and bright colours. But oh, it's just a really lovely journal. Yeah, really liked it. You know, obviously, you know, if you do watch my channel a lot, I'm sure you've all heard me say regularly how much I love colours. So kind of seeing the Halloween, colourful Halloween kind of journal, it just was really lovely. It looked really nice, and it just was very fun, very fun. That said, I do also really like the kind of more muted colour journals, and I mean, I don't very often do them because I struggle to kind of not have colour, if you see what I mean. But I have kind of I mean, again, this is what I'm talking about, that I seem to be flitting all over the place at the moment. But I've bound a few journals ready for making, and one of them I have done very colourless so far. So it will probably, you know, be absolutely ages before I actually work on it, because I'm kind of struggling where to go now with it. But the idea was that I thought I'm going to give it a try doing a more colourless journal. I don't know how I will get on with that. I think I will find it quite challenging. But that's kind of, yeah, I'm thinking I might have a go at doing that anyway. So, and the other thing that I struggle with is not using a ton of lace in things, and I don't think I have used any lace so far in this journal, so I may have to go back through and kind of decorate it with some lace bits and pieces, because otherwise it's not going to feel quite complete, I think, if it's not got lots of lace. It's funny, isn't it, how we all have our you know, individual kind of ways that we kind of do things. I know that lots of people don't necessarily even use an awful lot of lace, and they're often some of the journals that I really love the most. So I don't know why I really feel the need always to use lots of lace, but I think it just feels a bit naked to me, a bit unfinished, if I don't use lots of lace. I love these playing card images with the Peter Rabbit images on top. I think they look really nice. So, could have a bit of lace going down that side. Very tempting, I must say. Just to obviously get my fill of lace in there. So on this side, I thought we'll tie some string around this, because you know me with my love of tying things. We'll just stick that string on the back there. Now I probably won't do this as a series. As I say, I probably will just kind of do 1 or 2 process videos and then kind of complete the journal, because I have still got my series going of my Gypsy Rose kits, which obviously, because I have been very busy with other things, you know, I haven't cracked on with that at all, because you know, I don't want to kind of obviously do every single video of that series. I like to kind of have a few variety, you know, a few mixes of things going on. So I don't necessarily want to have something else going on in the series, because obviously, you know, kind of you're excited to work with something, and then it's kind of you know, operating a lot of restraint not to then be working with that kit or with that journal. So like the Gypsy Rose, you know, it's obviously kind of slightly frustrating, I suppose, not to be actually carrying on with it and working on it. So I mean, I am you know, enjoying doing the series, and I'm not obviously complaining, so please don't get me wrong, but I probably will just crack on with this one. I think we'll kind of see how things go. I've been trying to do the Gypsy Rose as well in half-an-hour episodes. I'm going to see how this one goes, but I know that kind of when I put that out there and asked what people thought, people were kind of open to having a mixture of lengths. So I thought this one will do a kind of longer process video. So I've just leaned up and seen, I think we're up to 36 minutes. So I will kind of pace myself and not rush so much for this one, but then probably stick to the half-hour sort of slots for the Gypsy Rose series, if that makes sense. This is another element from the kit, which obviously kind of I just cut, you know, fussy cut around that, which obviously is the same as this image. So I quite like the fact that I can have that on there, because I do get a little bit OCD with the whole matchy kind of things going on. So for me, that's quite nice to be able to have kind of matching elements on the same pages. Now this is another little ruffle that I've made, and I've made a few of these recently, and obviously I've included 1 or 2 on some other pages. These are just kind of hand stitched, so obviously I am not I'm not very good at sewing. My sewing's not great, but I've done them kind of by hand, so they're very teeny little ruffles, and I just, I think they kind of quite nice to use. Not always, you know, not kind of replacing the big ruffles, which I obviously absolutely love, but I think quite nice to have some of those tiny ruffles too. So on this one, I'm just going to pop down this doily, which actually I could have actually Mod Podged these doilies down, because I have got my Mod Podge actually here, which normally I don't really, but there we go. And I'm planning on doing some more of my little, what would you call them, like ephemera kits. Yes, last week I listed a few ephemera kits of my kind of vintage supplies in kind of kit form. So a few bundled up, you know, kind of to list into my shop. And touch wood, they seemed quite popular. So when I get round to it, it may be this week, it may not be until next week, but I'm planning on doing a few more of those, because they seem to go down quite well, and it's quite fun to obviously kind of do that. I also watch quite often Diane H, her channel. She does a lot of haul videos. Love watching what people find when they're out and about. And then I know that she kind of you know, compiles quite a lot of kind of supply kits, I suppose you'd call them. So rather than kind of my junk journal kits that I make, they're kind of supply kits made up of items that she kind of has managed to locate and find when she's out and about. So I suppose kind of my little kits that I kind of made last week were a bit similar to that. And I just thought they're quite kind of fun to do. And it's nice to be able to share out our finds, isn't it? Because obviously, you know, we find different things in different parts of the globe. So that's kind of, you know, quite nice. And as well as that, obviously, it's kind of vital for clearing down some of our overloaded houses, which kind of eventually are kind of obviously bursting at the seams with all of our supply shopping. So, you know, it's kind of quite nice, I think, from both points. And obviously there is the blue on the skirt thing there. Just going to turn the lamp off just to see what kind of shade of blue that is, because I don't want to put it on if it's completely different. So we could have that kind of here. So I might just stick that like that. So I've got my hot glue gun and I will just hot glue this, I think, down. So obviously that will just stick nice and fast then. Like that. And then I'll just pop this little blue bow. Just literally. Oops. This one's so tiny I'm struggling to even hold it. Oh, come on. So I'll just again use the hot glue. I like to hot glue the bows down really because they are a little bit fiddly, and obviously the hot glue does glue them instantly. That's kind of cute down there. And then this, I've been waiting a little bit for the glue to dry here. So it's getting there. Not quite there, so I'm not going to glue that on just yet. So what we could do whilst we're waiting is come on to the back cover, which obviously this should now be glued down, and we can just cut around there. Now I'm probably not making a very neat job of this because the lamp that I've got on so that obviously you guys can see better is just shining brightly into my eyes. So I actually can't now see very well to actually cut this down the edge. So as I thought, I've not obviously made a very neat job of that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to kind of rough this up with the scissors. So rather than try and kind of neaten it up with that bright light still there in my eyes, I'm just going to kind of roughen the edges, and then obviously that kind of blends it in. Oops. So that was a kind of workaround because obviously I didn't want to have to turn the lamp off for a period of time. Right, so this hopefully it's much drier. I can just kind of glue that down, and I'm just going to glue it like a pocket on the 3 sides. Like that. Okay, get my tissue again because glue, as I say, is very, you know, seeping out very fast today. Right, so that's that. And obviously we can always pop in a little kind of ticket or a postcard in there as well. So I might just pop that in like that. So moving back to the back page, let me check what the time is. Okay, it's 45 minutes, so we're going to kind of just plough on for another kind of 15 minutes or so, depending how we get on. Obviously, if we're kind of right in the middle of something and it would be difficult to stop, then it may go on beyond the 15 minutes. So actually, we will work on this page because I kind of have a plan for this page already, so then we can stay within time a lot better. So on this page, I've got this image here, which I've just distress inked all around it, but obviously not on the back side. And I'm going to just glue it down on top of this envelope, and then we're just going to have it as a kind of opening envelope there on the page. So I'm just going to have a look and decide whether we want to layer that up with some book page, which I felt certain I had popped some book page on the pile, ready to do this process video. Let me just check. And now, like all these things, I can't find it. Ah, here we go. So we could kind of layer it and then pop it onto the envelope. Unfortunately, these pages have got a lot of conversation going on, so they're not actually kind of solid text, which, you know, then doesn't obviously necessarily add an awful lot to the card itself, but we'll go for that because obviously I haven't got any more book page here with me. Again, if you watch my channel regularly, then you'll know that I tend to do these process videos in my son's bedroom, so it's a case of kind of bring everything that I think I might need to do the video, which obviously, you know, there's bound to be things pretty much every single time. In fact, there's bound to be things that, in fact, I haven't brought along with me. So, there we go. And then I'll just roughly cut that. Like that. Seem to have come out with a cold now as well, which is so infuriating. I get loads of colds. I mean, some people kind of, they are more susceptible, aren't they, to certain things. You know, I know that some people kind of get a lot of, you know, tummy troubles and things like that. And oh gosh, this famous last words here, but touch wood, just touching my son's windowsill, touch wood, that doesn't seem to be, you know, my thing, thank goodness, because colds I can just about put up with. Upset tummies, no thank you. Yeah, but some people don't seem to get anything at all. They kind of really seem very resilient, whereas I get colds all the time, and I always swear it's when I've got cold. And you know, I know they used to say that you couldn't get a cold from getting chilly, and then about a year or two ago I happened to see a report on the news that, you know, research had discovered that actually you can indeed get a cold from getting cold. So if you know, get a bit over chilly, you can in fact get a cold. Ah, well, I just thought, I knew it. I knew that you could, because, you know, I'm sure that that's why I get colds, because I feel the cold a lot, and, you know, I get a lot of colds, which I'm convinced that a lot of them are when I've got a little bit chilly. That's it, I then get a cold. So, and sometimes you just can't really odds it, can you? Because, you know, you just kind of sat down and then kind of 10 minutes later you're just chilly. So, right, enough of my endless waffling there about getting a cold. Okay. going to ink up the envelope. This envelope, it hasn't been coffee dyed, but it was in that pile of envelopes that I did coffee dye, so hence it's got a couple of splodges on there. But obviously I didn't get as far as this envelope in the pile, if you see what I mean. So, but it doesn't need to be, because obviously it's going to be covered up anyway from the image that we're going to obviously glue on there. So I'll just ink it both sides. So when it's actually stuck down on the page, it's kind of looking a bit more kind of vintage. And I'm trying to kind of ink all this stuff up quite a lot so it looks very grungy and rusticy. So, okay. So I'm just going to glue that on like that. Glue to one side, and obviously I have inked this page up so it's looking nice and grungy and inked up. So that's that. And what we could do is kind of make little booklets here, but obviously I haven't got any plain sheets of paper with me to be able to do that. So you know, but I could kind of, if I don't stick it in right now, but obviously doing a process video, you maybe would prefer that I did actually get on and kind of stick it in. So I've got a couple of red flowers, obviously, that coordinate nicely with the card. I've got Peter Rabbit here, and he's obviously on there, so we could kind of decorate around the page with some of these little images. Let me just have a look and see what else is here on the pile. You know, as I say, it's such fun having all of these little images just here ready to go, that I don't have to then kind of think about them coordinating, because they all do coordinate, which, you know, for me, that just takes out such a lot of time. Because sometimes I can just be there endlessly, you know, thinking, what about that? What about that? So this is just wonderful to be able to just kind of grab things and know that they do coordinate. There we go, and then just ink up Peter Rabbit. I don't know whether I'm going to stick him on this page or not, but he might as well be ready to go just in case. So put that piece of paper over to one side. And then I did bring along some fabric ruffle. The only thing is this one hasn't been coffee dyed, which to me then I'm not sure. Again, I might just have to very quickly turn the lamp off. I have, I think, got some coffee dyed ruffle with me as well. Now this is obviously the larger ruffle that I tend to use more often. I say I bought some larger ruffle. I don't think I have now. Sorry, I'm just rummaging through the little stack that's kind of laid beside me. I think bought along a couple more of those little hand-stitched ones. Sorry, I'm just going to double check before I kind of give up looking altogether. Oh, very annoying. That's annoying, isn't it? You see, you just can't bring everything, can you? And so there's bound to be things that then you think, oh, I wish I'd bought that. But you can't bring everything. Otherwise, I really would have kind of literally everything with me in the kitchen sink. So we could just use this one down here. Or again, I mean, I could just kind of do it in slower time, but I really kind of don't want to be not doing things with you guys, if you see what I mean, if it's a process video. So I'd rather kind of actually have things glued down properly, you know, with you all, because that's kind of part of the idea. Now I have also got these little tiny flowers that I kind of made, that obviously they're made out of this same fabric. So I'm just going to pop that to the one side. And we'll just kind of check out how we're going to kind of pop these things. Could even have that flower in the centre, but not sure whether that necessarily would work, unless I kind of have a brad or something in there. Or I could have a button, I suppose. That's kind of quite nice. Yeah, I might do that. So I'm going to take Peter Rabbit and glue him down here. This really is very messy hobby, isn't it? I don't just mean messy as in, you know, fingers messy, but it takes up a lot of space in your house and makes a lot of mess in your house, I find. Hence really kind of why I thought actually I'm going to try and start doing some of the haul kind of kits or packs, because you know, I can obviously share them with you guys and obviously not hoard things quite so much, which I do obviously have a tendency to do, because I mean some of these things are so beautiful that you just kind of can't help yourself. So beautiful, and so you know, some of them, they're so old and you just can't believe that they've kind of survived all these years. You know, it's really incredible. So I'm just going to stick the envelope down. So I just literally glue down the flap like that. I do really like this flower like this. It's just whether or not that's going to be kind of a bit vulnerable like that. So, and then do we want that ruffle? Yeah, I do quite like that ruffle like that. I'm just going to take off a piece of the hot glue that's kind of dripping from the gun. Right. That, and I like the way it's at a curve there, and then I'm going to literally glue this like this. I'm going to kind of press it in the middle quite a lot, because I'm hoping that we're going to kind of be able to pop that flower like that with the button. So again, I will hot glue this, because obviously then we don't have to kind of weigh it down or wait for it to dry. And I'm pressing it again in the middle in the hopes that that's going to, you know, lie kind of flatter in the middle, if that makes sense. And then I'm just going to pop that button in the middle. So again, I will just hot glue that. So I'll just take the hot glue, being a bit careful because it is very hot. Like Okay, that looks super cute. So that's another page kind of done. I'm just getting hot glue threads off of my hands. They're just everywhere. Right, sometimes the glue's worse than others. And actually, I might just pop a little flower on that flap of that envelope. So I'll just pop that on there. And again, I'm just going to kind of dab that with the tissue because obviously that glue is quite seepy. Like that. So that's the journal so far. So if we just kind of have a look at what we've done so far. So obviously I haven't stuck things down there, but this page I have, which, you know, I super like this page. I have got these little organza bows with me, which I'm rather kind of liking that there. So I might have to stick a little bow there. I have got some lace here because it just doesn't feel quite right to me without some lace. So I mean, I could pop some lace at the bottom of there and the bow. You see, I take it away and to me that just then looks a bit plain. So just going to cut it like this in half and just see if we had the lace and the bow there. Yeah, that just looks more finished off to me. So I'm just going to literally pop it here like that. I've got quite a lot of glue on there to kind of make sure it's really stuck nicely. Just going to press it down again with the tissue because that glue is, you know, coming out a lot. Okay, and then just pop the organza bow there to the side. So again, I like to hold them by what I call the legs and just then hot glue down there just onto the side. Oh, that just looks so pretty. Okay, so love that. Yeah, that looks cute. So that page, this page obviously haven't done yet. This page we have. I just need to ink up this journaling card, so I might just quickly do that now. And then this page would nearly be finished, I think. I've got that big dollop of glue there from the hot glue gun. And we'll just ink up the journaling card. I think it's time for a new pad there on my thingamajiggy inker. That just goes in there. Now I have also got these little green bows, which maybe we should have a bow there. I always love bows. I think they just kind of finish things off really nicely. So again, I just hold that by the legs. Oh gosh, I hope I'm in frame. It's only just really occurred to me that I might not be. So I am, these days, the last few videos that I've done, I've been balancing my iPad on a box that my son's got in his room, one of those storage box things from IKEA. He's got a shelf, you see, right above his desk, which is just very handy. And then he happens to have some little storage boxes on the shelf. So I've just pulled one of those over and done that instead of the pile of books that I previously had used. And actually, touch wood, I think the box is better because I think it is higher and kind of manages to get more of the desk into the frame. Right, then we've got this page here, which I rather like this page. Now I'm just having a look through because I just wondered whether we needed one of the butterflies on this page. Or does that kind of spoil it? You see, what probably would have been quite nice would be to have some ruffle at the bottom of here, but because I'm not very happy with this not being coffee dyed, I don't really want to do that at the moment. So I might have to add that either in slow time, or, you know, it just depends really whether I kind of am going to come back and do more of these process videos on this particular journal. Yeah, so I might leave that, because I might just add the what do you call it, the ruffle, the coffee dyed ruffle. So we'll just ink up this butterfly a bit. So we could have that butterfly somewhere. Actually, we could have it on the little fold out, is quite nice. So I might hot glue this one, just because it's then secured on there properly straight away, and we don't have to worry about it, you know, when I turn the pages. So that's rather nice. Okay, then we've done this page. Now again, I don't know whether this page maybe needs something at the bottom. You know, I'm thinking maybe a flower or something, maybe an actual kind of flower rather than the cutout ones from the kit. Now I've got my little tin I always like to bring along for my process videos. I don't think I've got any flowers in here that are quite the right colour, but I do have some buttons, and this one's really cute because it's got this little butterfly. So maybe a couple of buttons would actually be the best thing here. They might be quite nice. Actually, what we could do is kind of layer them up with some lace. So I have brought along my neck curtains that I use a lot. This is the coffee dyed neck curtain. And obviously I have not made one of my little button embellishments, which would be preferable, but I don't obviously have needle and thread or anything with me to be able to just quickly whiz one up. So just wondering whether I could just literally kind of glue it on. It would have kind of a similar effect. So I could do that. I can't help but feel like that really needs to be stitched on. So what I might do is actually stitch that kind of off camera and then kind of pop that on. So I'm going to leave that in that page so as I remember. Then we've obviously got some plain pages here. Then we've got this page, which I love this page. I think it's turned out really, really nicely. And obviously we've got this journaling card that goes in there. And then we can obviously pop another journaling card. We'll just pop that one in there for the time being. Just like that. Now we could again have a little ruffle or something down the bottom, or some lace. Just having a look to see which lace I've got with me. So what we could do is kind of maybe a piece of this lace down the bottom. I'm not sure that I quite like that. It doesn't look quite grungy enough. Now these neck curtains, I'm going to try and just kind of cut a piece that we could kind of run along the bottom. So these are just, you know, coffee dyed. So just move them now out of the way. So what we could do is kind of have that like that. Which I'll just cut that down a bit. I'm not sure now, because that maybe now looks a little bit too dark, so it might be that I just haven't got quite the right piece of lace. So I might come back to that and just look at kind of popping some other lace on there, kind of, you know, when I have a bit more kind of to hand. But I do love that page with or without lace. obviously the centre, which I love. We've just done this page, which I like how that's turned out. I like this little flower down the bottom with the kind of paper flower in the middle. And then you've obviously got the envelope there. And I'm not sure, oh yes, and then I've got this page here, which again maybe kind of need a bit of lace somewhere, but again I'm not sure whether I have got the right lace with me for this, so I don't want to kind of stick down the wrong lace, if you see what I mean. So I shall have to look through my lace piles and see whether I've got some better lace for that. But I mean, if not, again, I really like this page just exactly as it is. So, you know, I'm not too worried even if I don't pop any more lace there. And I think that's as far as I've got with the decorating. And then obviously we've just now attached this to the back cover. So we've kind of got the back cover now in. And obviously we need to now do the inside of the front cover. So, and again, obviously I haven't done the outside yet. I haven't quite decided what to cover the outside in, but I'll just kind of show you. I was kind of wondering about this fabric. Obviously it needs a bit of an iron. This is some upholstery fabric, but I thought it matched quite nicely with the colours in the journal. So I did wonder about that, and then maybe do some sort of collage or something on the front. So I quite like that, or else I did wonder about this kind of stripy fabric, which again is upholstery fabric, but again I felt kind of looked quite nice with the kind of images from the journal. So yeah, I just thought I would bring those along and kind of just show you guys really what's, you know, what I'm kind of processing at the moment and kind of thinking about. So I'm kind of favouring the blue at the moment. And then possibly kind of ink it up a little bit and things like that, and then yeah, do some sort of collage maybe, and maybe kind of some coffee dyed ruffle somewhere, not this blue that's not been coffee dyed, but maybe some coffee dyed ruffle or something. I'm not sure, so I'm just kind of sharing my thoughts with you really. So yeah, but I'm loving how it's looking so far, and I'm really enjoying working with this kit. It's really easy to work with, and yeah, having lots of fun with it. So I shall leave you guys now and go and get on with some of my other projects that I've got on the go, and yeah, I shall see you soon. So thanks very much for tuning in. Have a great day. Thanks a lot. Bye.